Welcome to the Carolina Weather Group for this Wednesday, March the 4th. I don't know how we got to March already, but here we are. This week we're talking about ways that you can up your weather education, and they're starting pretty soon. So Jen Walton's here from Girls Who Chase to tell us all about it. Frank Strait is here from our Carolina Weather Group panel. Let's roll the open so we can hop on into it. If you're streaming live with us on this Wednesday night, we invite you to join the chat. If you're watching or listening elsewhere at a later time, thanks so much for checking out this episode of the Carolina Weather Group. I'm James Brierton in Charlotte, North Carolina. So Jen is back with us, sporting her Carolina attire for this week. We appreciate that very much. And I think you told us before the show that you purchased that on one of your recent visits back to Chapel Hill. Is that right?
Yes. Well, it wasn't recent. In fact, I probably need to update my attire somewhat. But yes, this is from a legit UNC store. And it's nice to be in company where I can actually say UNC and people know what that means, because out here in Colorado, UNC could mean Greeley, it could mean California, but in the Carolinas, UNC is UNC.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we still have enough transplants here that we get confusion with the University of South Carolina, but that's a separate problem that I'm not going to worry about.
Yeah, let's not touch that one tonight.
Okay, fair enough. But Jen is back with us. We had you on, we think, about a year ago because Girls Who Chase were doing some workshops, and you guys have some other fabulous workshops coming up that people can partake in to up their knowledge. And let's start with the one that is occurring the nearest term to now, which is all things radar severe weather. So tell us about this one, Jen.
For sure. So this is the first of what we're calling a specialty workshop, where essentially we are zeroing in on very specific topics and breaking them down into additional detail that we may not have gotten to in, for example, a larger event like a spring training that we've done in the past. So this particular specialty workshop is about a half day with some little breaks interspersed. And the idea here really is to focus in on the various elements, whether it's products or utility of radar, to help people with severe weather, either observing severe weather or chasing severe weather. So that includes things like how to effectively use radar and radar products. The focus will be on the particular products most impactful for storm chasing. So, for example, how to determine hail presence and size, which is always an interesting conversation with folks. Various products that might help us assess storm life cycle behavior. So what does the shape and behavior of a storm mean? Is it gusting out? Is it just starting to spin up and intensify? How do we determine that using radar? And more like that. In addition, RadarScope is actually our title sponsor. We're excited to have them back on board with us for this highly relevant training for them. So Mike Wolfenbarger, who created RadarScope, is going to be with us for quite a while talking through how to use the app if that's something you're interested in. But in addition, they've added all kinds of different types of data. So lots of things like shortcuts, which some of the things he went through with us last week, I've been using RadarScope now for 10 plus years, maybe 12 years, and I had no idea some of those things were there. And as well as how to use some of the other different elements they have added over the last year and a half, like accessing soundings, satellite, that type of thing, all in the same spot. So we're excited to have them with us. He is also going to focus on how you might set up your app to set up all the various products we're going to talk through in some of the morning sessions that COMET Ed will be teaching. And then we're going to tie it all together with a case study delivered by Dr. Karen Kasiba of the Dow facility, the Doppler on Wheels facility, who's going to present a tornado case study, because we all love a good tornado case study, to talk about why mobile radar is wonderfully helpful and useful as well as fixed radar. And what are all of the various details we may be able to ascertain from beginning to end of that particular storm chase that resulted in the Duke El Dorado, Oklahoma EF2 in 2024. I think it was May 23rd, 2024. So we're big fans of application here. So we like to introduce the concepts in the morning and then piece them all together in kind of a logical, linear way in the afternoon. And so that's kind of the order of events here. And I think, folks, if you're not able to make it on Saturday, it's no problem. All of our events are recorded. So if you register, the recordings will be sent to you within a few days. We just have to edit and package them up and put them online. You will always have access to those recordings. So if for some reason you don't have time even for the next 6 months, they will still be there for you. If you decide not to register now and change your mind because you got curious or jealous of someone, which we completely understand, they will also be available for purchase online shortly after that. So there's lots of different ways to engage. And then the last thing I'll note is that this particular workshop registration comes with an optional pre-recorded Radar 101. So if you are brand new to weather or brand new to radar, this is a really great kind of prerequisite that you would be able to take the time to kind of process through before you join us. It's still for anyone, all levels of experience. Great to brush up, great to introduce yourself to a new weather-related topic. But this prerequisite, I think, is just a really useful one for anyone and everyone. So that is girlswhochase.com/radar workshop. And again, it's the first of probably 2 specialty workshops that we will deliver this year. The other one will be in the fall, topic TBD, but we're thinking maybe hurricanes.
Ooh.
Putting
a QR on the screen right now for the radar workshop. I'll also drop the link in chat for anybody who's watching along with us. Jen, I think you hit on it right there, but I want to emphasize the point. Who's welcome? What experience is required? And your organization, of course, is called Girls Who Chase, but are men and women both invited to your workshops?
Yeah, I wish that I had realized that we would be doing all of this kind of stuff when we created Girls Who Chase. Our events are like the key point to Girls Who Chase education programs is access. So what I mean by that is anyone and everyone should be able to have access to learn about weather, learn about severe weather, even if it's just to make sure that you don't drive into a hailstorm when you are picking your kid up from school. I have avoided totaling my car twice now, even before I started storm chasing, just from knowing how to read radar. So we want to make sure that people are able to learn about the things that they're interested in. It is not just for storm chasers. It is for all genders, all ages, all levels. And we have found that those are exactly the people who join us, which is what makes those events interesting. So, and they are all held online for that reason. We don't want people to incur a travel cost or like having to stay in a hotel or anything like that. So it's always online and recorded. So if you're in a difficult time zone or overseas, or again, just unable to make it, you will still be able to access it. So that's the key word here. Our events are for everyone.
I'm very interested to hear what Mike's going to say about Radar Scope, because like you, I've been using it for many years, and I too keep finding new things that I didn't know about. And just the other day was using the visible satellite because somebody said to me, when are these clouds going to clear? And I thought, oh wait, I actually can check this in Radar Scope and could see that the clearing was approaching quickly. Last year, I know I sat in for your spring training. This reminds me of that, but it's slightly different. Is that right?
It is, yeah. So spring trainings are full day events and include panels, typically lunchtime networking events and panels, as well as a few more speakers. This is kind of a half day focused event. Part of the reason that we are not hosting spring training this year, unfortunately, is because our education partner is COMET Ed's program, which is, they are basically the meteorology education specialists. They even build modules to help train the National Weather Service. They are federally funded to do what they do. And so federal funding restrictions this year essentially has meant they've had to ramp down on staff time and contributions. So we basically have dialed back our offering for 2026 to kind of keep things manageable for them so that we're not overutilizing their already taxed resources. Our hope is that we will be back in 2027 with a full spring training. But in the meantime, we actually have gotten feedback at the last couple of spring training events that people are really interested in learning more about radar. So we're actually kind of answering a request
Yeah.
in that way. And, you know, we did a couple of informal polls last year when we were doing the more intermediate advanced radar training, and folks were like, yes, please, let's do more nerding on radar. So here we are.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned that spring training is normally a full length event. If folks look to participate in this radar workshop, they're going to get a pretty meaty agenda here. It starts at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central Time, and runs for, what is this, 4 hours, I think, right?
It's 5 hours.
5 hours. So don't sell yourself short. This is a pretty meaty agenda, and I think people are going to get their value out of it.
I think one of our biggest struggles, honestly, is how to whittle it down to like a schedule that normal people can handle, because there's so many great topics and so many people interested in talking about them and sharing information. I don't think we'll ever run out of things to educate people on.
As a weather podcast, we agree. So that is Saturday, March 7th, which is coming up here in just a few days for the audience who's with us live. Again, 11 a.m. Eastern time. It's all virtual. But Jen, you have something else that's coming down the pipeline too for anybody who is looking for more, or anybody who's maybe missed the radar workshop and wants to know what you guys have cooking next. You've got this event coming up in April.
Yes. I am super excited. I mean, I was excited about the radar one too, just to be clear, but I'm like extra excited about this one because one thing we have noticed is folks who join us for spring training are roughly 25 to 30% self-identify as photographers. So there may be times where what we offer in some of our trainings is just too technical for folks, and they would like what someone kindly referred to as spring training light in a request we got earlier this year. And I thought, you know, there's enough overlap between the folks who shoot severe weather as well as volcanoes and aurora, and we're all kind of learning from each other in the same groups of folks online. Why don't we put all these people together and see what happens, which is essentially the same experiment we did with spring training, which worked. So it's going to be a really interesting combination of folks introducing people to forecasting, and there will be a radar session that we're just calling Radar 101 at a very introductory level. And the idea here really is to help people learn what they don't know. As in, if you don't know what you don't know, how do you get started, right? So we're hoping to fill some of those gaps. But the idea really is to build that foundational development in chase preparation, forecasting essentials, and radar basics in the morning. Then we move into more expert photography techniques in the afternoon. A lot of folks are really interested in incorporating lightning into their landscape photography. So we have an expert lightning photographer who will be with us talking about how that works. As well as a volcano lava panel. So that'll be four volcano photographers from different parts of the world who shoot different kinds of volcanoes and lava, talking about their experience and best practices in that case. And then we have an expert aurora photographer who's going to introduce us to what it means to photograph the aurora and what that takes. And all of that, again, will be recorded. This will be a full day and will involve a networking lunch session as well. So if radar seems like what we're offering for radar is too technical, perhaps this might be more up your alley in this case. It's also, I would say both aren't necessarily redundant, but also redundancy is a great way to learn. So this
reinforcement,
one
I think, is what the teachers
one.
like to call it.
Yes. I as a science communicator, I am a huge fan of redundancy in every level. So yes, this is a new foray for us, I should say. We have not done a training specific to photographers. If you are not a photographer and you are just curious, you are also welcome. Like, again, this is all of our events we're not going to exclude people because they don't fit in one category or another. Or if you want to see if you are interested in photography and want to learn what that takes to become a photographer in one of these areas, this would also be a great place to check out. So I would say, give it a try, see what you think. But again, you'll get some of those basics around weather in the morning, and then more kind of technique type stuff in the afternoon on Saturday. And then we have a quarter day on Sunday that's going to be an optional photo critique session with a couple of Nikon ambassadors, actually, who specialize. One specializes in what he calls extreme nature photography. So that's actually all three topics we're covering here. And the other is a landscape photographer out of Canada. And it's just an opportunity, I think, to see what their input is. I find I always learn from hearing those types of discussions. So there's a lot to be gained, I think, on the both the photography side and just the learning about these three spaces side. So that would be girlswhochase.com/capturing awe is what we're calling it.
We have that QR code on the screen right now. I'm dropping the link in the chat for anyone who's joining us live. I should also mention it's in the description for audio podcast listeners. We've been real blessed lately, it feels like, with the Northern Lights and the aurora, that I think suddenly everybody realizes we do want to learn a lot more about how to capture that phenomenon. And there's probably more I can do than just hold my phone very steady on night mode for 5 seconds. There's probably a technique to it that I don't know. So, Jen, how does somebody go about getting registered for either one of these workshops? What's the cost? What's the workflow?
Sure. I mean, the easiest thing to do is to just head to our website. All the links are directly from our homepage, which is girlswhochase.com. But then for the radar one, so the half-day radar focused workshop is, I would say, part of the reason that we're able to keep our events accessible, again, using that access word, is because of our sponsors and because COMET Ed is actually funded to do this type of education, which is one of the things that makes them so amazing. So the cost of the radar training is $35. And again, that will get you the prerequisite, the pre-recorded prerequisite, all the recordings afterward, as well as PDFs of the presentations. And that is girlswhochase.com/radar workshop. And capturing awe is going to be a little bit more, largely because getting all of these experts in the same room is costing us a lot more.
It does quite the panel you're putting together there for April.
Because we are, yes, we do. We have a hell of a lineup for this event. Yes, folks who have been doing this for like 30 plus years in some cases and are represent camera brands and other types of large sponsored names. But this one is $150. Again, we're still keeping it cheap by holding it online, which introduces a whole different type of learning experience, of course. So this one you may want to look into a little bit earlier just because it is a full day and a quarter. So it's a little bit more of your weekend if that's something that you're aiming for. And yeah, we also do have actually a panel of wonderful sponsors for this one as well who are helping subsidize. And I should add, several of them are throwing in gear for a raffle. So if you do register and attend, you will be eligible for all kinds of goodies, I should say, including gift certificates to camera stores. We've got a lightning trigger in the mix if you are into capturing lightning. So
it's more than just dumb luck, is what you're telling me.
I would hope.
Capturing lightning.
Oh, yes, sometimes. I mean,
see, I don't know what I don't know.
You
said lightning trigger, and I was like, what is a lightning trigger?
Yeah.
How does this work? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to try not to sound like a total cynic when I say this because my camera doesn't like triggers, but triggers can be incredibly helpful and it will save you a million different pushes of your shutter, essentially. Yeah. The goal with lightning is just to make sure your shutter is open as long as and as often as possible so you can capture bolts because they're pretty quick.
They're very quick.
But it's hard to do that during the day, right? So a trigger essentially senses the beginning of a strike and opens your shutter.
Wow.
And the technology is getting better and better. We actually just had a new trigger released on Kickstarter yesterday called the Bolt Hunter. So they are going to be our sponsor. And he is a lightning photographer himself. He has introduced some new technology that seems to be working pretty well for folks. So we're kind of excited to talk that through. But yes, there are ways to make your life easier if you want to capture lightning. And it's also possible actually with a cell phone. So I've done both.
What a time to be alive, to have all this technology at our fingertips.
Right.
That is some pretty fabulous stuff, Jen. Before we let you go, you mentioned in passing the Dow, which is a really cool piece of technology. The Doppler on wheels. We did an episode on it what probably feels like a lifetime ago, but you're involved with them now. Can you give us a little insight into what's going on with the Dow project, and maybe a little background for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about?
Absolutely. So yes, Dow is Doppler on wheels. Essentially, that is exactly what it means. It is if you, for example, want really high resolution data, very close to a tornado, for example, a mobile radar is a great way to do that. The deal with fixed radar, what we call the 88Ds, so the fixed radars that are located throughout the United States, is because of the Earth's curvature, the further away you get from one of those, the grainier and less useful your data gets, because the radar beam is pointed up, essentially upward. So you end up with not great data in these areas that we call radar holes in between these fixed radars. And I should just use this as a plug now and say, if you want to learn more about how that works, you should come to our radar workshop.
Good job.
Essentially, though, mobile radar is great for filling those gaps and can get you real close. In fact, the goal of the tornado project that I've been on for the last few years with these folks is to essentially study the lower third of tornadoes, the area that does damage, essentially, and the behavior and how it does damage, and how quick those wind speeds are, and how does the damage correlate to those wind speeds, et cetera. This is a portion of a tornado that we know the least about, again, because of those radar beams pointing upward. It's very difficult to get a good return close to the ground. So in 2024, the team deployed on the Greenfield, Iowa EF4, which is now known to have been record-breaking in terms of wind speeds. And it was actually my first year working with them, and I did the twister thing and deployed a pod.
Wow.
In front of the tornado, which I think it was better that I couldn't see it. It was rain wrapped by the time it approached town, and all I could see was white blowing water sideways, essentially. But when we did the math later, they calculated us to have been roughly a half mile from the center of the tornado. Not the exterior, not the outside circulation, but the center. And I think luckily for us, by the time it entered town, not luckily for the town, it had kind of developed this drill bit stage, so it was actually quite narrow, or we probably would have ended up in the outer circulation while we were deploying. But yeah. So anyway, these guys have been operating for roughly 30 years. Dr. Josh Worman created the concept of the mobile radar, and they have been used in service of researching all sorts of things, not just tornadoes, hurricanes, wildfires, blizzards, really all kinds of different types of severe weather. And just to basically help us understand, again, get that high resolution data to better understand some of these systems.
I just found our episode with Dr. Josh Worman, and it's from 2020, which in and of itself makes me feel old. And then
that's a lovely screenshot.
I'm so sorry. Well, I wanted to pause it on the Dow, and he is unfortunately blanking. I'm going to play it in a second. But I was going to say, if you really want to feel old, I think this is a clip from his Discovery Channel show.
Yes.
So that goes back even further.
Yep.
Because there's the side by side. So yeah, there's there's a lot of great material out there. I'm going to put a link on the screen for anybody who wants to hear this conversation. 2020 was such a blur. No wonder I couldn't remember what year
No
we had
kidding.
done that episode. So,
Yeah. And that is actually, most folks would remember if you're an avid consumer of storm chasing media. Josh and the Dows were in, I think, the first 2 seasons of Storm Chasers.
So. That sounds right.
So, yes.
Which I recently caught on one of those random like .2 channels in town on the TV antenna, and I have since recorded it. And now
because we are nerds like that.
Because we are nerds.
Yeah. I haven't watched it in many years, and for sure not since I became a member of the team. So I am told I should rewatch it now.
I can send you a link.
You should. Yes,
that
please.
I will not put a QR code on the screen for, but I will send you
I will take it. Yeah. Yes. And so. I would just note too, this is a message that we like to share a lot with Girls Who Chase. I used to drive. I live in Colorado. I used to work in Boulder, which is where the Dow keeps its equipment, essentially the Dow facility. And I would drive past a hangar that would often be open with Dows parked outside of it every day going to work, and hang out of my vehicle, like staring when I drove past. Like, God, I wish I was doing that. And it took, like most of us, a very nonlinear life journey to get to be where I am now, which is an active participating member of the team. But I would just say, if this is something that you're passionate about, whether it's weather related or there's something else for you, never stop dreaming, because you may find yourself in front of an EF4 with a pod.
With a pod.
One day.
Living out the Twister movie, like you said. We do have a question on our YouTube chat asking, does the Dow ever do live streams of their chases?
Oh, good question. Not recently. But we are actually talking with RadarScope about trying to set up feeds for when we are operating and or deployed on an incident, so that that radar data can actually be accessed through RadarScope. But I would also add that probably part of the reason they don't do live streams is because it might look really interesting for a little while if they're scanning a tornado, but it's really not interesting inside the Dow, especially during hurricanes. You're just like, it's like somebody sitting there looking at a computer screen, right? Yeah. So I would say the amount of time that I have sat in a scanning Dow for like hours on end, right, where we all just sort of had our eyes rolled back in our head doing our jobs properly, versus when it was really interesting and there was like a tornado outside the window, is like 100 to 0.0001.
Yeah. I'm sure if anybody goes back and watches the Storm Chaser show, they whittled like 4 days into 22 minutes.
Totally. So it's like, you would think there were tornadoes everywhere.
Constantly. But that's what I've been told about storm chasing, is that it's like a lot of driving and a lot of sitting around.
It is.
I haven't gone storm chasing yet. It's on my bucket list.
We need to get you out.
Let's go. I'm ready. I think I got to convince the wife, but she lets me virtually storm chase on the computer, but that's like not the same.
It is not the same. No, you've got to you could practice before you go by getting in your car and driving around for 13 hours.
Okay. All right.
And then sitting. And
should I really live stream that? Is that the question? Should I live stream me driving in circles for 13 hours?
Totally.
So, comment if you want to watch that. We'll make it a YouTube membership tier.
I think we could make a lot of money off of that.
It's why? What have we been waiting on? All right. Well, Jen, remind folks. I'll circle this back around. Remind folks where they can sign up for your upcoming workshops.
For sure. The easiest thing is to go to girlswhochase.com, and both are advertised in the top third of our homepage and also in the menu. Again, the photography event is called Capturing Awe. It'll be hard to miss with the lava, aurora, and tornado photography in the graphics. And This Saturday's event is called All Things Radar Severe Weather. So you're looking for that beautiful radar return, which is actually also the Duke tornado. That we will be presenting the case study on as well. That's just got an amazing donut hole on it. And that is girlswhochase.com/radar workshop. That one you definitely want to get on right away because we're coming up quick on Saturday.
Frank, I stole the first 30 minutes of the show. Did you have questions for Jen? I'm so sorry, Jen.
Well, between me banging on my keyboard angrily and
there was some banging on the keyboard that I did mute earlier in the show, and I've since learned that he was in a Twitter feud or something.
But between that and me looking for approximately 30 tabs for the Too Many Tabs segment later on, I'm sure you're happy to hear that. I don't really have a whole lot to say except for maybe one word of wisdom, and this came to me from my ROTC teacher back in high school. When he was talking about what it's like to fly an airplane, and storm chasing is like this in a lot of ways, and that flying an airplane is hours of sheer boredom, punctuated by moments of stark terror. I guess storm chasing is a little like that.
So accurate. And the sheer boredom is because you want that moment of sheer terror.
Right.
So
although I guess it isn't terror, it's more like the adrenaline rush to end all adrenaline rushes.
It is. I mean, I think folks do it for a variety of different reasons. The weird thing about chasers that and I would put myself in this category, is that a lot of us say after we've had a good chase and been able to spend some time hanging out with a supercell or just getting to be in hear thunder and see lightning and just get to be near a thunderstorm, is that it makes us feel quite zen. Which is kind of the opposite of what you would expect. So, which to me is an indicator that someone is in flow, if you know kind of what that means. It's basically time and space sort of go away because you're so focused on the thing that is exactly what you should be doing in that moment. So if you're maybe an artist or a writer and you look up and 8 hours have gone by, that is flow. I would call it the same for storm chasing.
Yeah. If people who like me have worked for AccuWeather for a while, I did for about 20 years, and that happens when it gets busy there.
Yep.
So.
Well, Jen, we're looking forward to these workshops. They're going to be fabulous, I'm sure, based on the work that you guys have done in the past. You're welcome to stick around. As Frank mentioned, he has too many tabs to get through for the rest of the show. If you want to hop off, that's fine too. Whatever floats your boat, you are welcome to stick around and find out what exactly he's got planned for us.
Yeah. Actually, I was really exaggerating. This time I only have one tab for Too Many Tabs, and it's actually not even weather related. So.
Okay.
Easy enough. Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Jen. We will talk to you again
you guys
soon. We'll get to your tabs there, Frank, in just a second. But it is that part of the show where we thank everyone who has made our show possible. Scrolling names at the bottom of the screen for our Patreon and YouTube members, and the little QR code. If you too want to find a way to support what you watch or listen to each week, you can join over our Carolina Weather Group e-store. You can get a shirt just like Frank's. You can get a fleece, which is super comfy and super warm. And I'm pretty sure starting next week, with the way that our weather has been trending, I'm going to have to find a cooler T-shirt to show off, because pollen is here and spring temperatures are here, and there's spring and summer attire in the e-store too that I think we're going to have to start showing off, Frank.
Yeah, the pollen's actually already here in the South Carolina Midlands.
I was trying to trick myself into thinking it wasn't here, but it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've been sneezing for a week and a half because of it. And at first I'm like, why am I sneezing so much? And then I'm leaving church last Sunday, and it had just finished raining and the puddles were drying up. And I'm like, oh, there's a little ring of yellow around the edge of the water. That's why I'm sneezing so much.
Yeah, I've got a low-grade headache that has been going on all day right in here, which I'm pretty sure is me forgetting to take my allergy med this morning. Yeah. But let's play Too Many Tabs.
Okay.
Too Many Tabs is the part of the show where, well, like the name suggests, we have too many tabs open on our screen and we need to get rid of them. And we're going to show them to you as a way to talk about some of the other science-y headlines for the week. Frank, do you really only have one?
Actually, two. I was going to try and squeeze it in with Jen a minute ago, but unfortunately, she's already gone. So that's fine.
She's still
We can squeeze it in
backstage.
now.
If she wants me to bring her back in, she's waving. Hang on. I think that means bring her back in.
There
Hi,
she
Jen.
is.
I'm still here.
Too many tab number
Might as
one.
well.
Okay, so you got a tab that you want to show all three of us. All right, Frank. Well, you go ahead and screen share that, because what I'm seeing right now is our own pictures coming back to us.
Yeah.
So
9 if you want to count the people watching live.
I mean, it's more than 9. Anyway, are you screen sharing that?
Yeah.
Are you? Because this is what I see on your screen share. He's daring me. I'm seeing Inception.
Oh, cool.
It's doing
That's
that.
kind of neat, though.
It is kind of neat. Like, everybody would do
How do
the
I
wave.
make it not do that?
I don't know.
I don't know how to fix that, James.
Are you screen sharing your whole window? It says I can see the answer. It says you are sharing your entire screen.
Oh,
I think you need to
don't want to
stop.
do that.
We should say
So
that the platform we use for streaming did a little facelift between this week and last week, and the buttons have slightly moved, in Frank's defense.
I'm sharing screen 3. Oh, that's what it is. What I thought was screen 3 is actually screen 2. So now you should be able to see what I actually want to share. There we go.
Oh, that looks more relevant.
That would be my one tornado. And I actually wasn't even chasing it. I was actually in Norman, Oklahoma for a trip that AccuWeather sent me to, and for a workshop back in 2015. And so this would be the March 25th, 2015 Moore, Oklahoma EF2.
Oh, wowzers. Okay.
From your hotel
that's
room,
looking out my
huh?
hotel window. 11 years ago, almost 11 years ago to the date. So that's the one tornado I've actually laid eyeballs on in my entire life of 54 years now.
I was chuckling at the comments of people asking to use your photo and who you decided to reply to and who you decided not to reply to.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious that Weather Nation asked an AccuWeather employee if he could use the photo.
That tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can make the picture bigger, and then we can just focus on the tornado.
Mm-hmm.
So, Frank, are you hungry to go see more?
150 requests to use the photo, which most of them I was able to say yes to. But yeah, you can kind of barely see the funnel here. It was not doing EF2 damage at the time. It was the EF2 was before it crossed I-35, and there it was across I-35. But yeah, it was one of those mesmerizing things. The thing that caught my attention most about this tornado was how much of the motion was upward rather than around and around. I thought that was really fascinating. I expected, more swirling and spinning, but no, stuff was mostly just going up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like we're going to have probably an
software, so I'm hitting start streaming again.
Yeah. It looks like I keep leaving the room and returning. It's happened a couple times here, but that's the first time it's happened while I was trying to say something.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was a fascinating tornado there that I got to see. I didn't intercept it; it intercepted me.
That is how that works. I will say, those who do desire to see severe weather should be careful what you say out loud, because one day it will come see you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that is why knowing how to read radar is helpful.
To remember, if you live anywhere across the South, our Severe Weather Awareness Week is going on in North Carolina, by the way. Next week, it'll be going on in South Carolina, and I'm sure that other states are doing that kind of thing too. It's important to remember that, tornadoes can come to you. They sooner or later, one will probably just about anywhere across the South, southern states, the Midwest, the Plain states. And it's important to know what to do in the event that happens, because chances are it will at some point during your life.
Jen, every so often he says exactly what's on one of my tabs, and we got this synergy thing going. It's great.
It's beautiful. I love it. I would just add, especially for the Southeast, It's less common, I think, in the plains where I am, that there are a lot of nighttime tornadoes that can occur.
Yes.
And the best way to make sure that you always know if a tornado is in your area is to get a NOAA weather radio, which will go off only if there's a tornado warning for your area. So
those things are wonderful. I was looking to see if I had one within reach, but I ironically have them all in my backpack right now because I brought them to work for a similar show and tell. So we don't have any of them within reach of me right now. But mine did go off here in North Carolina today, as Frank mentioned, for the tornado drill. And so at 9:30 this morning, it did in fact sound both upstairs and downstairs, where I have one on each floor.
Excellent.
I'm
and
ready.
Make sure they're charged.
Make sure they're charged on have battery backup, which
they have to be charged and on in order to work.
They work so much better.
You have them tuned to the right frequency and all that. Fortunately, there's only like 7 different frequencies, so it makes it easy to find the right one.
For audio podcast listeners, we do have on the screen right now, where is your tornado safe place? So let's just walk through this real fast if you're listening. You want the lowest level, most interior room of a sturdy structure. Gold tier, tier 1, basement, storm cellar, FEMA approved safe room. I'll tell you right now, I don't have any of those things where I live here in Charlotte, but we do have the next best thing, tier 2. I've got a closet that is on the first floor interior, and it is under the stairs, which I feel like gives me a little extra layer. And so that's kind of what we do. You could also do a windowless bathroom or a central hallway. Tier 3, this would be whatever interior room of a sturdy building you can access. Maybe you can go under a table or something to give you a little extra layer. If you have a helmet nearby, if you know storms are coming, we always suggest helmet, shoes, something for your eyes. We do definitely want to stress that mobile homes, vehicles, upper floors of buildings, big giant box stores, those are places you don't want to be. Those are not sturdy structures. They do not historically stand up well against some of the most severe storms that we have seen. So again, it's a tornado drill day here in North Carolina today, South Carolina next week, and we know other states are testing too. So now is definitely the time just to think about where you would go at any point during your day, home, work, school, in the car. I've been in the car and I've driven into a polygon, and the wireless emergency alert went off, and the NOAA weather radio went off, and I had to think, I'm going to exit at the next exit, and what building am I going to? And those are the type of things you could plan out for your route.
Mm-hmm. Right. Even if you're a professional meteorologist like me, you don't play around. Remember the time, James, I was telling you, or I've discussed it before on Carolina Weather Group, that I was asleep and got a tornado warning in the middle of the night, and I didn't waste any time. I jumped right out of bed, grabbed my phone, went straight to the closet, my safe space, and that's when I started looking at, is this tornado actually coming my way or not? And it wasn't, but it was going to miss me by several miles. But I was in the polygon. And
the trick is to make sure that the closet is cleaned out,
right?
Otherwise, trying to get in there is hazardous in and of itself. So we got to clean it out ahead of time,
and that your closet doesn't look like that shed from Twister when they look up and said,
that's what I always think of.
That's not a safe spot, even if that's the interior room and would otherwise be. If you have a lot of sharp objects in there, you don't want to be in there when a tornado's coming.
Yeah, I've had this debate in my house. They're like, what about the washroom? And I'm like, there's stuff on shelves. I don't want to be in the washroom. Take a gallon jug of liquid to the head. Like, that does not sound fun. So, all right. Thank you. Should I go on to my next tab? Frank, or did you have another one?
I did have one other one.
Okay.
One other one.
Would you like to... I'll zoom in out.
Which is a sad note for we Gamecock fans here in South Carolina. Coach Lou Holtz passed away earlier today.
Yes, I think we learned that at about 4 or 5 o'clock on this Wednesday.
That's right. Yeah, Coach Holtz, he not only did he coach the Gamecocks for several years and led us to our first bowl win, but before that he coached for William and Mary, NC State, the New York Jets, University of Arkansas, Minnesota, and Notre Dame before he retired, and then came out of retirement to coach the Gamecocks and go on to do broadcasting for several years. And going to miss him because he was a great guy. I actually got to talk with him once on a talk show. and he's a good guy.
Did you talk sports?
Yes. Yeah, it was the day after his hiring as the Gamecocks football coach was announced, and he was on a talk show, and I called in and got to have a 90-second conversation with the guy.
Frank calling into a talk show, that's on brand.
Not right. Well, it was 1999, I guess.
All right. I mean, I wasn't judging you, whatever year it was. But very nice. We have some comments and some thoughts and memories coming in here for folks who are watching live with us tonight. We appreciate those.
Okay, so that's my other tab.
That's your other tab. Okay. Jen, we talked about before the show how your photography workshop might also be interesting for people who like to do space photography, because we've had not one but two of these jellyfish space launches here visible not only in the Carolinas but up and down the East Coast. Aaron Smith sent us this from Aiken on this early Wednesday morning. This was just before 6 a.m. SpaceX was launching from Cape Canaveral some Starlink satellites. Do note how horizontal it appears because of the way the curvature of the Earth launch is, and as they launch into Earth's orbit, it almost looks like it was shooting across the night sky. I've seen one of these, and it was real cool. I wish I had gotten up this morning or on Sunday. Was it Sunday? Sunday night, we were supposed to have one, and it got pushed to about 10 p.m., so that was too late on a school night. 6 a.m. feels too early on a school morning. Maybe I'm making too many excuses, because these look absolutely awesome. And Peter Forrester sent us this one from Charlottesville, Virginia. You can actually see the rising sun there in the background. The whole reason that any of this is visible is because of that rising or setting sun, depending on the time of day, while we're still in darkness down here at the surface. And I don't have it up here because I don't have the rights to it, but the CBS affiliate in Tampa, WTSP, had a really cool skyline shot where it almost looked like, my camera's zooming out because I did a hand motion.
The downside of having
the downside to my AI powered
one of those
camera.
hand gesture recognizing cameras.
Yeah, you could actually see the whole arch. It almost looked like it took off and then landed again because of you could see for such a long distance as it was continuing up into orbit. It was really cool, and then you could actually see kind of the way the whole atmosphere was kind of doing this like pulsing thing. I don't even know how to describe it. It was crazy. So I am sorry I missed this morning's, and I think a lot of people probably missed this morning's because it's my understanding that it was pretty late on Tuesday night when they moved the launch to Wednesday morning. So I think a lot of people woke up and were like, darn, I missed it. Have you seen any of these, Jen? Have you ever caught one of these launches?
I have not yet. I've not been in a location conducive to said launch. Unfortunately, we don't get to see much from Denver.
That makes sense. I know. Yeah. I've heard the phenomenon in California. I've obviously heard it here on the East Coast, but I guess we don't.
One of these days.
We don't do too many launches from the middle of the country for obvious reasons, I think.
No.
We like launching over water. Yeah.
I would like to see one day for sure. That seems pretty neat to shoot.
If you are going to be up Thursday morning, about the same time, about 5:50 to 5:55, the same launch that we were just showing you from Wednesday morning is going to pass overhead about 24 hours after launch. So on Thursday morning, it's going to come by as the space train, which my son absolutely loves because he loves anything space and trains, and he put those two things together and it's out of this world. If you have not seen a space train go by, they're going to look like a constellation of a straight line of stars that are just marching across the sky. That too, again, is the same Starlink satellites working their way up to orbit and reflecting the rising sun in this case. I will also say, if you've seen either the jellyfish effect or the space train and you didn't know what it was, that could probably be really scary because it's just like this really strange phenomenon moving across the sky. Speaking of space, we've learned since last week's show that the Artemis program, we're going to get more of it. There was a moment, I think, last week where we were all a little disappointed that Artemis 2 had to roll back from the launch pad for some repairs at the vehicle assembly building. That's where it remains on this Wednesday night. And NASA is doing some troubleshooting of some hydrogen leaks. There were 2 different leaks. One of them was hydrogen, and now the other one is escaping me. It was another really small molecule. I'll look it up in a second, but that's not the point of this segment. The point of this segment is to tell you that we are now moving the lunar landing mission for Artemis from Artemis 3 to Artemis 4. That is currently anticipated in 2028. We are going to make Artemis 3 a Earth orbiting mission where NASA is going to test docking with 1 or 2 different lunar landers that they will then use on Artemis 4 and Artemis 5. And so we're essentially getting into a rhythm where NASA wants to give us an Artemis launch roughly at least once a year versus the 3 or 4 years we've had since Artemis 1. So they're hoping to get into a cadence where this becomes more of a regular thing. I'll tell you, when they were talking about, guys, how, with Apollo, they were launching every 3 to 6 months into a real rhythm there for a couple of years. I went back and I did some research, and because I was just like, what was the rhythm for Apollo or for the space shuttle? And I mean, we were doing space shuttle launches like every 3 months. I somehow forgot how often the shuttle would fly, because now we got into this rhythm where we're doing 6 to 8 month rotations on the International Space Station. But I think the rotations were a lot closer together during the shuttle program, or maybe they were just trying to get all the pieces up there for the shuttle program. But shuttles were going up every like 3 months. And I was like, wow, could you imagine how amazing that would be if we had that cadence again? But I guess if you're really into rocket launches, you can watch all these Starlink launches because they seem like they're every other day. Let's see. The last thing I wanted to show tonight is just the other thing that comes along with being in spring is the fire season. So we do have on this Wednesday night at least 1, maybe 2 wildfires burning out, one in Dare County and one in Washington County, out in eastern North Carolina. What I'm being told right now about the Dare County one is it's been named the East Tower Fire. It started within 24 hours, and it has burned, I saw someplace, at least, I want to say, did I say 300 acres on one of these? Now this says 0.1 acres, but I don't think that's accurate based on all these little other dots next to it. I see Jen's leaning over to maybe help me find a number, but the Nags Head Fire Rescue did put out tonight, don't be surprised if you smell smoke, and possibly again tomorrow, as there is a wildfire burning at the Dare County bombing range. And unfortunately, with the drought conditions we have, I think we're going to see more and more of those in the coming weeks.
So according to Watch Duty, which if you live in a wildfire prone area or you have interest in wildfire or are concerned about fire, I would highly recommend downloading this app. I am not getting paid for this, by the way, but
I'm not getting paid for it either, and I forgot I had put it on my phone.
Yes. It is now at 250 acres, 0% containment. And I don't see any evacuation information because likely there's not much out there. But for sure, especially if you live in that area, I would certainly recommend downloading Watch Duty. It is the first tier of it is completely free, and man, is it fantastic. We needed this years ago.
I was just told about this the other day. I don't know if it was new to Android or new to mobile, so I forgot. I put it on, and this is the first instance of me using it, and I just turned on notifications for that fire. I also do like how it breaks out. My phone's not gonna show up real well on the camera, but it distinguishes between a wildfire and a prescribed fire.
Yes,
and that's super helpful.
And it also visually will distinguish between smaller fires and larger fires. So if you zoom out to look at, for example, the entire Southeast, you can kind of get a sense. There's also a color coding for fires that are either largely contained or recently fully contained. They will turn partially gray or completely gray, while active fires are more that kind of red orangey color. So just a really beautiful job, particularly for, I feel like this is a U.S. issue, but emergency operations centers getting information across at the rate of speed that people need it, especially if you're evacuated, has always been a struggle. And I think this app fills in 98% of the gaps in terms of information. So definitely recommend it, kind of no matter where you live.
Yeah. That's a screenshot I just took on my phone and sent to my computer so I could put it on the screen. But you can see exactly what Jen was just describing. So that's called watch duty. And I think we are unfortunately going to learn more about that over the course of the next few weeks and months, because it's been real dry here in the Carolinas, and I know elsewhere too. Frank is commenting that there is a web interface that I could have just pulled up. But Frank, I like to make my life difficult by making screenshots that I have to send to my computer.
Yeah, or you could have just gone to my screen share and seen the web interface.
Oh, well, if that doesn't say it's time to wrap the show, I don't know what is, because I'm making my
It's
life.
not time to wrap the show.
It's not time to wrap the show?
I will say the plus,
because we need to talk about the forecast, silly.
Oh, okay.
The plus on the mobile side, though, is you can certainly set notifications for a particular fire, but you can also set notifications within a certain range of where you live. So you will automatically get a push notification if a new start happens, I don't know, 10, 25, or 50 miles from you. And then it will keep you posted, essentially, on all of the updates for that particular incident. So
I'm going to do that right now. Jen, I feel like I dragged you back in to show you some tabs. So again, you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to go. I know Frank's going to do his forecast now. So I just wanted to be polite and represent yourself that option if you needed it.
Thanks.
Okay. But Frank, you wanted to give us an idea of the forecast and if we're going to get any relief from the drought?
Yes, I do, and some drought relief is part of what I need to talk about. However, that's not happening over the next few days. Right now, we have a high pressure over the region that we've been cool and dry with that for a few days, and now we're turning warm and going to stay dry for the most part for a few more days, at least into this weekend. Thanks to that high pressure in place and an upper level ridge that's going to be present over the southeastern states. You can see on the satellite picture that there is some action to our north and west with thunderstorms going on along a front from the Great Lakes region southwestward into Texas, and even some severe weather going on. It is the season. Whoops, wrong tab. There we go. A couple of severe thunderstorm watches in effect in a slight risk area for areas from Texas to the western part of the Ohio Valley. And I think there's even been a tornado or two reported in that area this evening. So that's what's going on right now. Here's what the radar composite looks like, showing all that thunderstorm activity, especially around the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex this evening. So where do we go from here? Well, let's start out with looking at the short-range model, the HER, which shows absolutely nothing happening across the Carolinas through Friday. Through Friday morning anyway. It looks like we do see some shower activity moving into the western Carolinas that afternoon. Nothing heavy, but otherwise it's just going to be very toasty over the next couple of days. Let's go to the temperatures. And there we go. There's South Carolina for Thursday, 80 in Columbia, 70s elsewhere, and then widespread 80s for Friday. North Carolina. We got mostly 70s with some high elevation and coastal 60s for your Thursday, maybe touching 80 in the usual warm spots in the in and around Fayetteville. And then Friday, 80s become more widespread in North Carolina, and elsewhere we're mostly in the 60s again. But again, some mountain spots and along the coast will be held in the 60s due to elevation or proximity to the cool Atlantic waters. Now, let's go ahead and look at the longer range forecast. Now, eventually that front to our north and west is going to head our way. Moving into the western Carolinas on Saturday with more shower activity, and then very slowly pushing across the Carolinas Sunday into Monday. Again, mostly with some showers, but it looks like after retreating northward and we go back into breezy and warm conditions around the middle of next week. Later next week, we have a disturbance that'll be moving through, an upper level low moving through along with that front, generating some rain and thunderstorms. Right now, it looks like a cool rain in North Carolina. with showers and thunderstorms and maybe even some severe weather, depending on how this all comes together at the end of next week. So that's something we'll be watching for. That storm moves on out. Not much change in air mass behind that for next weekend. So it looks like we return to a warm setup. But I do want to talk about the long range for a minute, because it's looking increasingly likely that a pretty sharp cold front is going to come through around the middle of the month, taking us from the warm pattern that we're in now and will be in for about 10 more days to a much colder one. One that could even result in a late season frost or freeze here in the Carolinas. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you haven't planted your garden yet, you may want to hold off, even though it's nice and warm and you're probably have that strong urge to get some plants in the ground. I would not put anything in the ground yet that you can't protect or bring inside for a couple of nights, because there is going to be a chance for some unseasonable cold starting around the 15th and running for at least a few days. So do keep that in mind as we go forward into the warmer months. All right, that's it for the forecast. Back to you, James.
Noted on the plants. I need to tell the wife that. I know she's been starting seedlings inside, I think for that very reason, but I want to reinforce don't take the seedlings outside just yet. It's not time. Frank, before we go tonight, I had one more tab that it's not weather related, but it is just crazy video that I think is worth sharing. Have you seen this video out of Texas of the hot air balloon that got caught up in the cell phone tower in Longview, Texas? And so this is video that the fire department put out. You can see they had a drone in the air. You can actually see the individuals in the balloon who we should say were rescued safely, unharmed, but they had to climb down this tower. I mean, I guess it's obviously worth noting that the fire department first had to climb up this tower. The hot air balloon and the basket were nearly 1,000 feet off the ground. I've never ridden in a hot air balloon before. I'd have to think about if that's a thing or not that I want to try or not in this lifetime. But this had to be absolutely terrifying to be dangling up there, knowing that what is holding you up is just the balloon itself caught on this guide wire, and then waiting for rescuers to come on up, and then, as we can see here, throwing ropes and cables out to pull you closer to the tower, and then having to climb down that tower. And I'm not an engineer, Frank, but I just thought to myself, thank goodness this was, I guess, a cell phone tower, not like an AM radio tower. Because
right, well, if it was that tall, if it was 1,000 feet tall, it probably was a TV tower, and it might have had a radio transmitter on it as well. Probably did have some cell phone.
I guess my fear is valid.
Really tall towers
other, right?
are usually TV or FM radio transmitters.
There's lots of high voltage radiating equipment up there that you do not want to come in contact with. Is our point?
Right. Well, in this particular case, all of the TV or radio stations that were using that transmitter probably switched to a backup transmitter so they could shut that down.
Yeah.
You can see they had to put safety harnesses on the occupants of the little basket there.
They must have tied it themselves to the basket.
Yeah, that's right. That's what they would have had to do, and then bring them over, and then mercifully allow them to climb down 1,000 feet worth of stairs. Better to go down than up. Although the rescuers had to climb up.
It's windy. I'm sure there's a sway to this structure.
Right, which is the reason why they had to sit there for hours to wait to be rescued. You have to find a rescue crew that's capable of going up on a 1,000-foot
tower.
High tower.
A climbing crew.
Right, and then be able to get them safely secured there in their harnesses and get them over to the tower and then climb down.
And then the next chapter of this was how to get the balloon down. Obviously, humans first, and that's what they did over the weekend. And then they returned on Monday or Tuesday, if my recollection was correct, to start trying to figure out how to get the balloon remnants down.
But, right. And I imagine they came up with a creative solution for that. Might have involved a drone or something, but
the story itself, remarkable.
the fact that we have these drone visuals to show you not only gives us a sense for what the people in the balloon were going through, but also what the firefighters were going through. And so just having these visuals is remarkable in and of itself, because it really, I think, helps capture the intensity of the rescue and of the operation.
Mm-hmm.
So hats off to anybody who is trained to do this, has done it, is willing to do it. Incredible stuff. So again, not directly weather related, but this video, I think, was posted by the city of Longview this morning, and we absolutely wanted to share it with you.
Longview, their airport code is GGG.
Easy enough to remember.
And it's currently 75 degrees there. Nice. Speaking of temperatures, there's one other of the too many tabs that I just thought of that I want to share.
Is it what's on your screen right now?
Yeah. Current weather observations in Fairbanks, Alaska. It has been ridiculously cold there lately. This morning, it was 43 below. Yesterday morning, 46 below. Before that, 49 below zero.
Oh, thank you.
Johnny Horton wrote a song about that. When it's springtime in Alaska, it's 40 below. If you're really old, especially if you're older than me, you might remember that song.
40 below just sounds obviously incredibly
But yeah, which, by the way, is one of the reasons why we're concerned about a cold snap, because there's widespread cold air right now over Alaska, northern Canada, up into the polar regions, over to Siberia. A lot of cold air up there, poised to come down. Just got to find got to get the doors open to it, and that's
what's in the west must come to the east.
Yeah, but risk is there for it to happen around the middle of the month. The other reason I wanted to bring that up is because you hear in this time of year, every time it gets real cold here, it's usually warm in Fairbanks, and everybody has to talk about how warm it is in Alaska. It'll be like 40 degrees in Fairbanks, and everybody's saying, "Oh, they're having a heat wave in Alaska right now," while we're 23 degrees in a place like Columbia.
Yeah, one of those snapshot moments where it looks like everything's backwards, but
exactly. Well, right now we have the opposite thing going on. It's 80 degrees in Columbia. Well, 79. It was 79 in Columbia today, and it's 40 below in Fairbanks, which is also common. Just like it's common for it to be very warm by their standards when it's really cold here.
Yeah. I did my tabs all out of order, so I had one more, which is that we learned today that Melissa has been retired from the hurricane names. I think we speculated on this last week.
When pretty sure that was going to happen.
NHC report came out. I don't know if you saw this chart that got posted today on Facebook, but it reveals which letter of the alphabet has had the most number of hurricane names retired. Do you know the answer?
Probably H.
H is your guess?
Yes.
Okay. If we apply Price is Right rules, then closest without going over, you're pretty close, because the answer is I. I has had
I thought about saying
11 retired names. H has had 4.
So I'm not getting $100 from Bob Barker, but it did pretty good.
Yeah, you probably got on stage, but you're right. You didn't get the $100 for nailing it. Again, 11 is the most. 4 is on.
Or I guess it's Drew Carey now instead of Bob Barker.
It is Drew Carey, but I wasn't going to correct you. Honorable mention for F, which has had 8, along with M has also had 8. There's a chart on the screen right now. 72 names in total have been retired in the modern era. So I think that goes back to, the post here from Brian, is it McNulty?
Yes. Brian
the
McNulty.
2025 season used list number 5, which was first used in 1983 and every 6 years hence with Melissa's retirement, and now leads the pack in terms of the number of retired names from a list. List number 5 there at 15. I don't know if that's a trend, because all the other ones have about 10 or more, but it is, in fact, the list that had the most number, because the names repeat every 6 years unless they take it off. I don't know what they're replacing Melissa with.
That's a good question. Maybe it hasn't been decided yet. The World Meteorological Organization makes the final call on member states suggest names, but
Mali will first appear in 2031.
Mali,
according to the AI overview, citing the World Meteorological Organization. There you have it. I do think that's our show.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us here on the Carolina Weather Group. Again, hope you get a chance to check out Girls Who Chase and their upcoming workshops. Everyone is welcome. They are wonderful. I've been to some of them in the past, and as we told you here tonight, they'll have at least 2 of them coming up that you can find over at girlswhochase.com. We're working on a couple other things for you here on the Carolina Weather Group, including a new investigation into landslide mapping and its role leading up to Helene. This is a new investigative report out from my colleague Nate Morabito at WCNC. He'll be joining us in the coming weeks here on the Carolina Weather Group to tell us a little bit about what he found about an initiative that was underway and then paused. What difference that could have made during Hurricane Helene. He'll give us some insights on that coming up in the weeks ahead. We'll be keeping a close eye on the drought, and of course, as we've been telling you about, severe weather season is knocking on the door. With preparedness weeks in the Carolinas underway this week and next week. So, Frank, hope to see you back here, of course, for that. And hope our viewers stay subscribed so they don't miss a single moment of it. Hey, do you think the credits are going to work this week?
I hope so.
Yeah,
we don't want to go through what we went through last week.
We sang the song. It was great. But look, I found them. Let's roll them.